For sorry. Thank you very much for spending a few minutes with us tonight. If anyone has questions, feel free to add those to the chat. If I don't explain something clearly as we're going through the slides, feel free to just put your hand up or interrupt me, and I'm happy to pause. I don't mean at all for tonight's session to be one way. Interactive would be way better. And I will say kind of one other quick caveat or housekeeping note is that we're talking to two different audiences right now. One is, and I would say there's certainly some crossover between those things, but one of those audiences is very much an investor audience, and so we're raising money to build the next version of our platform, and we very much want to show to artists what we're doing, why we're doing, how we got to that point. There are some artists who want to participate, alongside that, and you can do so at a very modest level if you want to do that. But the real point of tonight is about telling you how we got to where we are, where we're going, open the dialogue back, get any response or reaction that you can, and just know that, if there's one hallmark about CME, it's that we are a learning organization. We are very customer centric in a business context, and the center of our universe is artists, and period, and stop. That's why we're doing what we're doing. A lot of organizations, talk about how artists are the center of their mission. I think most of them do so in good faith. We ask ourselves the question all the time. And hopefully, as I explain how the economic model that we're pursuing works, it started as we've spent 3+ years defining what we would call an ecosystem. And an ecosystem is healthy when two things are prevalent. One is that it's in balance and that it's growing. And so in an ecosystem, a positive action should engender a positive reaction. And in a business context, where we can get the participants in an ecosystem to be involved in a way that where their interests are aligned, and that positive action results in a positive reaction, that we will ultimately be successful, but not just us as an organization, but everyone in the ecosystem. So with that caveat, and I'm happy to come back to that if it's unclear, but that's the soul of what we're doing and the motivation behind how we got there. So I'm going to share screen now. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Looks a bit black. There we go.
Okay. Software. Okay. So I mentioned a moment ago that we've spent the last 3 years or so preparing for this phase of CME. The next version of CME is what we're calling Art 3.0. And I'll frame that for people very quickly. We think of Art 1.0 as basically where the art world was. Art 2.0 was kind of the period between about 2010 and 2020, when companies like Artsy, Saatchi Art, and a handful of others, Paddle 8 and others, started to create really good e-commerce experiences. And I'll talk about this a little bit more in the deck, but over the last couple of years, several trends have converged that we think form the basis to take the next step forward, what we're calling Art 3.0. And there are a couple things that are really different. The quick comment is that great 2.0 companies like Artsy, or like in the non-art space, but companies we think about as similar to the direction that we're going, like LinkedIn, Spotify, and others, build their ecosystems or their communities. They do so in a closed ecosystem way, right? So you can't, it's very difficult for you to engage in value add activity outside of that ecosystem. What we're doing is trying to create an ecosystem where people can participate in CME in the community, but market themselves inside or outside that community. And that we use intelligence and interactions, and we make it easier for you to do so, and then come back there. So with that quick caveat, let's jump into it. So today's agenda, where we started, the problem or the challenge as we see it, and the opportunity, our process, our learning path around artist engagement, what others are doing, CME 3.0, what it will look like, how it will work, the cost, and how we hope you will be a part of it, and then what's next. Around business as usual, how we're raising money, and then in our build process. Okay, so today's art market, and I think this has been true for some period of time, is what we would call stuck. Market share, if you look at the art world since 2008 to 2020, 2021, the industry itself, adjusted for inflation, was flat to down. But market share shifted. So market share shifted to the major players, Sotheby's, Christie's, blue chip galleries, small and mid-sized galleries suffered and also incurred a lot of cost increases, which made it difficult for them to keep up. So galleries and auction houses have historically focused on cultivating current relationships and promoting established artists. And small and mid-sized galleries actually had to do even more of that. So it made it very difficult for them to, even in their business model, afford to give chances to new, to new artists, because they had to sort of really reflect back on things that they felt would result in a predictable business outcome. There was also very slow adoption of new technology. Now that started to change a little bit in the last year or two, I think instigated by COVID, but not fast enough. The result of all this is that there's low access for new and emerging artists at all stages of career. There's, relatively speaking, there are very few new consumers and collectors in the ecosystem. If you really look at the industry, that where the numbers have gone up, it's the result of selling a lot of the same objects to the same people at ever higher prices. And that limited growth has also resulted in a high tax on artists. So the prevailing economic model in the industry, of the gallery gets 50%. Most artists still today think success is being, carried by a gallery, and I really don't mean this as any disrespect to galleries, because many of them do an excellent job, but it's difficult for them to work with a whole lot of artists and a whole lot of new artists. And artists will often have the assumption that they can outsource all their marketing and so on and so forth to a gallery. So in today's world, we actually have seen tremendous changes that have accrued to the benefit of the creator in other industries like music, film and video, even creative writing, where technology companies and new distribution channels like Spotify, like YouTube, for example, like Substack for creative writing, have been developed and driven much better economics directly to the creators, and we're trying to do that for visual art. That's the bottom line. So we spent the last 3+ years, in addition to the kind of business as usual that you know us for, really talking to artists. And these are just a few of the pain points that people have shared with us. But marketing is necessary but time consuming for most artists, and even people. We've had conversations, like in-depth, detailed conversations with artists who on the surface are fabulously talented at marketing themselves and building a presence on social media, and they wish they weren't doing it, almost without exception. Even when you're good at it, or as you're getting started, or almost anywhere, discoverability is super hard, and it's often at random. It happens by accident, and yet we've seen so many other areas of tech and our consumer experience today, even our professional experiences, become less random, more systematic in a way that allows you to improve. That has not really happened in the marketing of art. Meaningful visibility is an even bigger challenge. So even if you can be on Instagram, for example, driving engagement is really hard. And it's not just volume, you know? So like we have 25,000 followers on Instagram today. And I can tell you, it's unclear to me, you know, which posts are going to have higher engagement or not, you know? But I do know that there's a technology approach and tools that can allow us to analyze it in a sophisticated way and improve it, and then productize that on the fly. So that's the direction that we're headed. Let's talk about sales for a minute. Sales for most people require multiple
Looks like we lost our leader.
I'm a couple of offices away from him. Let me see if I can find out what's going on.
Hi, sorry about that. Somehow I got abruptly thrown out of the meeting. Appreciate your patience. But that is technology for us. All right, I'll go back to the share. So we were in pain points. And most artists are in the position where they have to manage multiple different sales platforms, requiring multiple attempts and venues, and multiple different marketing platforms. And so just a few. So from a sales perspective, you're probably marketing through maybe one or more galleries, art fairs, one or more online distribution platforms, and so on. And each one of those has its own protocol, typically. From simply representing your own image and trying to gain exposure, most people are on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn in some cases, Twitter in some cases, and they're using various tools to support that. Some people are using Canva, to help them with design, Adobe and multiple other packages. If you're doing email marketing, you may be using Constant Contact or some other platform to facilitate and manage your email marketing. The point is that your workflow requires all kinds of disparate things, and you'd rather be making art. At least that's what most people told us. And occasionally people, truly deal with isolation, and that's only been exacerbated by, I think in some ways we like to say artists were the original remote or at-home workers, right? So we're trying to build community in an authentic way as a byproduct of everything we do. And then the last point, and of course we get this feedback with some frequency, is that the revenue split seems too high given everything you've done. And I will say I have some real sympathy with the gallery world on this case. They have tremendous expenses, but I think all of us would benefit from application of technology in certain cases that allow margins to be split in a way that allows you to do a better job with your work and worry less about paying the bills and just being compensated fairly for the work you do. So let's shift gears for a minute, because although most of our work to date has really been around understanding the needs of the artist, the real goal here long term is to create a platform that collectors, and in fact consumers who don't necessarily identify with the term collector yet even, really respond to and want to be a part of. And so we've studied that phenomenon. In many cases, the analysis and the consumers we're trying to understand skew younger, although not in all cases. We do include some of that as the language, because we know that that there is a tremendous economic opportunity there for artists, and some behavior which we're about to talk about that really is exciting, frankly. So we like to call it the new art consumer or the new art collector. Those people are primarily younger. They're the biggest opportunity in at least a generation. And most of the industry incumbents are poorly positioned to serve them, because the industry itself has, over a long period of time, really fostered a more elitist experience, which is a turnoff largely to today's consumer. So we're trying to create an experience that's much more approachable, that's educational on people's own terms, and that doesn't condescend to them in terms of what they should like. So they respond to experiences. This is all based on real research and data, much of it direct research and also validated third-party research. The new art collector wants experiences, sense of discovery and excitement is totally key. They want transparency in the process, and literally 77% of these consumers, which are millions and millions and millions of affluent people, express a strong desire to see the pricing of work. They're hoping to have some level of relationship. That may simply mean the ability to occasionally message an artist, or to listen to an artist chat, or on the right occasion meet the person directly. But they desire direct connections to artists, both virtual and physical. Part of that is related to storytelling, which is a crucial part of the experience as well, and impact. 68% of these consumers say supporting artists is really important to them. So they are, in their own way, really mission driven. They want it to be meaningful, and convenience. 35% are willing to buy directly on Instagram if they can figure out what they want, and it doesn't seem so random. So younger consumers are driving growth at the high end of the market, but they're still lagging at the low end. one of the things that we saw during COVID was that high net worth millennial behavior at the high end, their share of the market actually doubled in 2020. And they would often purchase at high price points and have high engagement. So with the right, actually, let me just say, the affluent millennials are not yet participating in large numbers at under 5K price points, but that's where the highest potential is. And what you see in other phenomenons is that the folks that we're describing on the left, high net worth millennials, they're like the leading indicator. And then the broader category of kind of affluent, professional, knowledge worker millennials all over the world will often follow that behavior in a aspirational kind of way. Most of the mainstream art platforms don't meet their preferences. Most of those platforms don't facilitate intuitive discovery. There's still a lack of transparency in many cases, and they're not facilitating direct or meaningful connection with the artists. They're more often protecting or husbanding those relationships. So a big part of our thesis is that with the right solution and connection between artists and new art lovers, 10+ billion of demand will be released at least over the next 10 years. Here's just a quick slide that I think illustrates the point. Global millennial spending is set to overtake Gen X by 2020. That already happened, and it's continuing to rise. And that phenomenon coincides with these consumer behavior trends that have shifted, and thirdly, rather, the new technology that enables these things to have, these kind of products to be integrated and offered that really weren't available, 5 years ago. So what are we doing? We're developing a place where any artist can be discovered. For the artist, imagine a place where any artist can be discovered. For the artist, we're creating distribution and discovery of original art across multiple distribution and marketing platforms, but in a way that protects your intellectual property, establishes a royalty precedent for you, offering tools to enhance engagement and to earn more money on a percentage basis and in a total basis as you become more successful. So listing art, promoting, selling, and connecting with the collector. For the collector, we're facilitating enhanced discovery with intuitive recommendations, portfolio management, and the portfolio may simply be like, these are images and artists whose work I love, and I want to monitor what's happening with them. Event notification. So integrated calendaring and access to pricing predictability and the secondary market. So here's a good way to understand, hopefully a simple way to understand where we're going, really taking the best elements of LinkedIn and Spotify, but for art. So the artist will get a comprehensive profile page that's password protected, that includes everything you'd think about. A bio, a deep statement, inventory, and so on. And there's one unique idea, an additional unique idea, which is we're creating a wallet, which, think about it as a repository where you'll collect either money that you earn or other kind of reward points in. And I'll explain that in a minute. Engagement, so deep marketing tools and intelligence that aggregate things in your workflow today that'll make it much easier for you to move forward against. The really positive way to earn revenue through your work and recognition. And then lastly, protect and reward. I mentioned intellectual property before, referrals and royalties. And from the collector side, personalized and easy discovery, expert resources in a really approachable way, direct access to artists, and the ability to create and invest in art. So outbound marketing coupled with inbound sales and referrals and commissions. Here's how, in part, how we're doing this, why we're different. We're enabling art as a physical or digital sale through smart contracts with integration to support broad distribution of royalties. So the when the artist uploads their work, we give them the choice to register their work in a smart contract. So there's a digital record of the work from the point of origination, and there are terms that will protect the work moving forward, and that becomes the equivalent on each piece of a certificate of authenticity that the collector will have, and it's a contract between the artist and the collector, which you will have some latitude to define. For example, you'll get a 10% royalty if the person ever decides to sell it. And we can talk about that a little more if you'd like. We're creating enhanced discovery in an intuitive way using artificial intelligence, but that's coupled or informed by what the collector has already told us they're interested in. Outbound email and social integration for artists, and I'll show you a quick example of this in a minute. And then we've been creating a prediction algorithm for future value. So really trying to predict artists whose work should be recognized and predict artists whose work should actually increase in value. And then to lean into helping them realize that recognition and value more quickly in their own careers. Now, and I want to show you guys very quickly I'm going to show you very quickly an example of what it's going to look like. And please keep in mind that this is still a wireframe, so it's still in the design phase today. And so, but you'll see some design elements of what we're starting to build. All right, so this is a wireframe, and you'll see a very modern, clean design, and it looks quite different from the current version of CB. This is really about our story. So this is what like a collector would first see when they came to the site. Your trusted personal art dealer, how we empower artists, how we inspire collectors, how we use technology, and so on. So this is the artist section of the site. Your art, your way. I won't read all of this, but we very clearly say our first objective is to support artists building a sustainable career, taking ownership of their practice. These are some of the services that will be offered: coaching and specific critiques, financial and legal support. And then a quick walkthrough of how it works. Level 1, profile setup, uploading images and CV, artist statement, staying organized, intuitive inventory management with sales, engaging the audience, sales pipeline. So you'll have like an open calling grants dashboard. That'll probably be in like in the phase 2. But for example, one of the things that we're going to end up doing is creating sort of a common application for grants, working with different organizations to actually streamline the workflow of how you can apply to different grants, and frankly, other open calls, and not just the ones that CME offers. Here's the section for collectors: discover art you love, become a member, grow your collection, experience art that works for you. And we talk about the new art economy and how they can think about that and participate. So and then our story. And what we would talk about our story and our mission. And then we include here, you know, a real, this is like a little storyboard of how the journey kind of should work and how we envision it. Is on the left-hand side, you'll see Hillary, who would finish a painting. And then she uploads a photo of her work. She would already have a membership on CME. She'd upload a photo of her painting. We'd catalog the work and record it on in a smart contract. She would share her painting with peers and friends through social media on the CME platform. On the collector side, you'll have Alex. Alex is interested in learning more about the art and signs up for CME. He's not really sure, or they aren't really sure what kind of work they like, so they upload a few images, and then CME generates a list of artists and artwork for Alex. Alex likes and follows a few of the artists and artwork. Alex is alerted by CME that Hillary has new work available, and then they start to message, and so on. And so this is an example of how we think about the interaction happening between the artist and the collector. And one of the things that we're going to do as we move along, with the artist's permission, is we'll actually help create templates that allow us to streamline or shorten the amount of time for the artist to respond. So and do things that, so there's not a lag time if the artist like can't respond immediately or something like that. So there are a bunch of different things that we're going to do to help facilitate direct response. All right. So let's, before we move into some questions, there are a couple of things that I want to make sure we cover. We think about our approach as sort of an enlightened collective approach. And the reason why we're characterizing it that way is because we want artists to feel like they can bring their audience, the people that are following them today, into the community and get them to follow them on CME, and that they will be not just protected, but rewarded if those people create any economic value outside of their direct relationship with the artist. So the way that works is you, well, in fact, I'll show you guys a quick example of the workflow of how the product is going to work. So imagine that a collector is scrolling through Facebook and they see this image and they click on it because they want to learn more. Now they would be taken directly to the CME site from Facebook, okay? And they'll see information about the image, the opportunity to buy, rent, or license the work, all of which has been defined by the artist, by the way. Here's the artist. They'll have the opportunity to potentially to talk with the artist if the artist is online, or message the artist, and so on. Let's say they'd like to understand what the purchase price is. Now, our designer, I actually think this image costs quite a bit less than this, but our designer decided he liked this number. So he messaged, could everybody see my screen there? Oh, wow. It showed me that it was sharing, but I'll do that again. Let me go backwards. Can we see it now?
Yes, Brad, we can see
Okay,
it.
thank you. Okay, so where I started was, imagine that you're a collector and you're on Facebook and you see this image and you're like, wow, I really like that. Let me click on it. Then you would get taken to see me. And we'll show you how that image actually got on Facebook in a moment. And you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'd like to learn more. And so here's the price. And you can make a decision. Well, I'd like to see the rental price. You could see that, or a license price, or whatever. And all these options are actually defined by the artist. You can reach out directly to the artist. So let's pretend we went to try to buy it and we got a sold message. Well, then what? So this may be tough to read, but there's a message here that's generated automatically on the artist account. And it says, hi, Alex, I saw that you liked one of my paintings that just sold to someone else. I wanted to let you know that I'm completing a limited print run of another painting. This is really a photo, but of another photo in a similar style, genre, and size. And if you're interested, follow me and we'll notify you when it's published. And here's the response. Hello, I love your work. Thanks for letting me know about your print run. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Have you decided on how many you'll be running and how many different runs you'll have for the next piece? And so you can see how we're fostering conversation. Here's another look at another distribution channel. So we talked about multiple distribution channels right from your CME account. And we will be facilitating your ability to place work directly from CME onto various channels like the CME Gallery, CME on Artsy, Instagram, and other channels that we're in the process of forming relationships with. Here's an example of the same photo available on Artsy that would have been placed, and I'll show you how this happens in a moment, right from the artist account. Here's an example of the artist dashboard. So we're helping the artist understand how they're marketing their work, how effective it is, and giving them practical ways to increase the effectiveness of their marketing. And in some cases, if they give us permission, we'll do it for them. We don't show this here in the demo, but imagine how this could work if, depending on your genre, we can actually say to you, hey, there are 569 digital photographers who do similar type of work to you, and here's the average performance. Here are the top performers, and here are things that they're doing that you could also do to improve the effectiveness in your engagement in the market. So this here is an example of where the artist would upload their work. So you can edit a product, and you'll see here's the name of the work, medium, description, different pricing terms. Cross post means different distribution opportunities like Artsy, First Dibs, OpenSea, ArtSpur, and others. And you can see where this is filled out. So here are different images of the work. Here's the price, rental term, rental price, and it's going to get posted on Artsy, which we saw previously. And then this part is almost done. I want to show you this last component here, which is the marketing scheduling tool. So this is like this is the week of November 14th, and these posts are already scheduled, so they're able to do it just from this single platform. And you can cross post here on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or YouTube. So let's create a new post. We're going to schedule this post. It's photography. Here's the image. It's going to go on Facebook on this date at this time. Let's schedule the post. And then you can see how it shows up here. All right. So I'll go back over to the deck. We're just about done in a second. So I mentioned the term enlightened collective. And the reason why I say that is because as the artist promotes themselves out into the world, we want them to feel confident that if anyone who's followed them, let's pretend you have we know we have artists who have thousands of people on their email list and artists who have 50 or don't have an email list. And so we want to but make great work. Or maybe they're just starting out, or they don't spend a lot of time on marketing, or whatever it might be. So we've really approached this new world, this open ecosystem, in a way where we're reflecting value people are bringing in, that in a way that protects them. So from a pricing point of view, all current members of CME will be grandfathered at their current pricing for at least 2 years. Basic membership for new members who are not current members is going to be $200 a year or $20 a month. And I'll get to how we think about that in a minute. The revenue split on sales is going to have a tiered approach. Under $2,500, an artist gets 50%. Over $2,500, an artist gets 60%, and over $10,000, that's in gross sales. Artist gets 70%. So the more they sell, the more revenue the artist keeps. And our goal actually is going to be to change that over time in a way that continues to benefit the artist as we get bigger and they become more successful. If an artist who's a member already refers one new member at any time, they get half off their membership. So the money they've already paid, we actually deposit money in their account or extend their membership. It's their choice. If they refer 2 members, then they get their full membership, rebated or extended. It's their choice. If anyone who follows them generates or buys work from a different artist, we commission the artist who referred the consumer or collector onto the platform. And then subsequently in the future, we're anticipating some additional revenue opportunities. I don't know what those might be offhand, but that but the artist will also be commissioned at least 5% on any economic value that anyone they refer into the network brings. All right, so that's the deck. It was a lot there, I know. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, question about, will these all be juried, or does the artist determine what of their collection goes up?
The artist determines what of their collection goes up.
Okay. And I'm assuming everything that's painting would be flatbed scanned professionally before you'd even consider it.
Generally speaking, that's true. There are people, really talented people in different parts of the world that don't have access to the highest, quality that you do. And so we reserve the right, to make exceptions to there. We're very concerned about quality, and we do think that the higher the standard, the more people are likely to step up to that. Yeah. But at the same time, we also recognize that there are really worthy people around the world. Like one of our core tenets at CME is talent is equally distributed around the world and opportunity is highly concentrated.
So would you be involved with any of the back end delivery as well?
In terms of like physical logistics?
Yes.
Yes. So here's the way we anticipate it working. And there are different models for other products, which is how it works. Is that when a collector buys like a physical painting, for example, it'll be the artist's responsibility to actually take the first step, get it on its way. Okay. But we will, we have a third party shipping partner, best in practice prices and actual practices for art handling that will handle all the physical, actual physical logistics. We'll have a 14-day guarantee, or to protect the sale. Artist or the collector will pay the money up front. It'll sit in an escrow account, and once they get it, they'll sign off, and the money will be released to you, and will be insured along the way.
So what I heard in that was that I will have access to all your collectors if I put my art up there, or did I jump to conclusions there?
Nope, that's exactly correct.
Well, that sounds pretty good to me.
You know what we're really trying to do is align interests amongst all parties. So if all of the artists are like, hey, I benefit, even if someone I bring into this world buys work from someone else, I actually make money from that, and I've supported another artist, So we're really sincere about trying to trying to align interests.
Yeah, you solve one of the problems that a lot of artists have. If you have your own website and you make your price visible, you're liable to honk off galleries, because galleries have to add an extra price.
Right.
So by you being in the intermediary, I can charge a price that's still reasonable to the collector and still be acceptable to a gallery. And so will a gallery be part of your audience?
That's an excellent question. And being candid, we would like to have, let me use the term art professionals, be part of the ecosystem. But we couldn't solve for that first. There's too many like, if we felt like if we gave galleries a seat at the table from the get-go, that we would have to make too many compromises with respect to what we could offer to artists.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I don't really think it's not a church and state issue for us. It's really about the math and the economics and making sure that they work for artists first and everybody else.
Yeah, I'm right now I have to hide my prices, because if I get picked up by a gallery for a permanent or a temporary time, I've got to reflect the gallery prices, and then I'd never sell anything.
Right.
So
That's right.
thank you.
Which is not a long-term solution, right?
No, and I could sell a heck of a lot more.
Yeah.
If I didn't have to deal with that.
Yep, that's right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Brad, I see a question in the chat here. You want me to read it to you?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I have what I consider to be a successful and fulfilling career. I've created relationships with different galleries and exhibited in various venues. However, I need help with technology and moving forward to the online market. What tools or support will I find on a platform like yours? How are you planning to facilitate the path for new users like me?
That's a deep and broad question. Hopefully, we covered a lot of it already in the overview. What I will say to try to simplify is that there are a few different components. We're working hard to make the tools easy and intuitive and consistent with things people have already seen in the market today. Right. I talk about having to grapple with multiple different platforms. Currently, we're really trying to make it so that people only have to learn one new thing, and that new thing will be familiar, will seem familiar, do other things that they're already using today. Okay. we will, everywhere we can, try to simplify language and do things or offer things that are intuitive to people. And furthermore, we will have multiple simple video tutorials that people can go through at their own pace, and then ask questions directly of the team where they have them.
A kind of a minor question and may become major over time. Sometimes you get software assists for some digital art. So for instance, fractals, I also work with AI generated art. Will that be prohibited, or will that have to be explained, or how is that going to work with where you're getting, software assists?
It's the first time we've had that question. I think that it would have to be disclosed or explained. If that makes sense, if I'm answering your question correctly.
I'm not sure I understand. I grokked that.
Well, can you give me an example?
Well, so for instance, I use Hypothesis to generate fractals.
Mhm.
And I add my own artistic bent to them, coloring, shading,
Right.
shaping. Sometimes I make them videos, sometimes they're flat, two-dimensional, and I sell those pretty successfully. If I sell them through you, do I have to state that it was assisted? It's not just me, the artist? Or do you don't care as long as it looks great?
I mean, I think we don't care for the most part. I think, if you're talking about like different generative pieces or AI assisted art, I think I really think it's up to the artist to explain that.
Okay, thank you.
Sunday, where are you located? Sunday at Dowell. You're on mute.
I'm just a new member. I joined the link. I saw the link on my email. I'm just an upcoming artist. I need to learn more in order to know more about.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining. Where are you joining from?
I'm from Nigeria.
Excellent. We've had a number of Nigerian artists.
Yeah, I'm just an upcoming artist, and to learn more. I still need to learn more about online marketing and how to sell my artwork, because I've been working isolate all this while. I haven't sell my work because I want to have a good contract with the sellers and the art collectors and someone like that.
Awesome.
But I really learned a lot as I joined these Zoom conversations.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other?
I was just going to say, Sunday, for everybody, one really, really important thing to do, or really, really helpful thing, is to join one of the open calls.
Yeah.
So that is a really good way to get yourself out there, to utilize our marketing, and to get some visibility. So if you don't already know that, I highly recommend that you participate.
Any other questions before we break? So we will we'll follow and send everybody a link to the video, and if you have and where you can ask additional questions or whatever, we just want to really thank you guys for joining us.
Sorry, before you cut, can you send us maybe a video if you want to listen it back to the talk, because the network is breaking somehow when I first joined. So sure. I can listen back again, maybe a link from our email so that I can listen back again in order to have a full understanding of what you said.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Paul Borsetti, I saw your question. Will we have a print option? Absolutely. I mean, prints are an important category for us. And also we think, prints are are often excellent category for new art consumers. Kim, you're on mute.
How's that? Is that right? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so just so it's just an idea that came to me when you were talking about the like the technology and working across different platforms and stuff. I mean, I don't know if I'm sounding if this sounds like a silly question, but is search engine optimization really important to developing this new platform? How are you going to drive? How are you going to like physically drive all this traffic towards See Me and the platforms and stuff? How are the algorithms going to work? How's the price predictability algorithm going to work? How is because I can see that you're in my mind, I can see this as an adaptive growing ecosystem in your own words, which will adapt over time. So it'll be evolving. But the question I've got is, to make it really efficient, I guess you'd have to have some form of technological strategy, a way of implementing it. So I'm just wondering if it's not a particular question. I'd just like to find out if you've got any thoughts on that or opinions.
I hear two different things there. One is sort of how how different aspects of the tech work, which could be really deep, detailed question, and we'll try to share more as we go along. Maybe I can touch on a couple quick points now. And the other is like how we're going to go to market and drive audience growth and so on. And we think a lot and have worked quite a bit on our what we would call our go-to-market strategy. Let me cover that first, but there's multiple components to it for business. From a business perspective, for businesses like this, if you're just relying on spending money to drive audience growth, you're going to lose. You're going to run out of money, right? For us, the reason why we spend so much time talking about the system is because success for us really starts with the artist being motivated to promote on his or her own behalf. That's the first thing for us. If the artist is like, this can be an important part of my practice in a way that really supports my goals and where I want to go, then that's going to result in success for us. And then there's a comprehensive business development and partnership strategy that includes art schools, arts organizations, other adjacent organizations that we're trying to partner with to drive awareness and growth. So that's just a glimpse in terms of how we think about that component of it. In terms of things like how the tech works and how our algorithms work and stuff like that, you know, we've spent, again, 3+ years really, you know, running calls, holding exhibitions, doing all the normal course of work stuff, and along the way, we've been collecting information and organizing it and analyzing patterns, basically engaging in data science. For the purpose of moving forward. And there are, you know, the art industry seems random how it works today, but it's not. You know, there are patterns, and those patterns, certain aspects of those patterns can be leveraged in a way that can benefit and improve the way people do things. You know, so I
mean, yeah, so I was going to say, like, I think that, you know, like this thing about being artist centric, as in like the artist produces the work, they're the core, of anything else that comes off it. So if any of the artists who are here produce a painting or a print or photograph or anything, they're the only ones who can do that. So they produce the product in the first place, and all the associated roles are in the art world. So from the schools to the auction houses to the galleries to the curators to the writers, the critics, everybody like that. In a sense, they're secondary because the artist creates the first. They're the the alma mater of the artwork, and then everything else follows from there. So I think for years it's been quite. I don't like to say abusive, but I think like artists have really been exploited for a long time.
Yeah, we would agree.
And yeah, and I don't. I think it's like like in boxing, sometimes you have to take a punch in the face to move forward. But you're getting punched in the face, and it gets tougher and tougher. And I'd just like to see that dynamic changed a little bit. That's all. So it's a bit more in the artist's favour. So that's it.
It'll take a little time, and I don't want to sit here and pretend like we have all the answers, but we have a point of view. We're going to try, and I really appreciate everybody joining us here tonight. Stay tuned. Hit us up with questions, and yeah, Kim, I'm aligned. So, all right.
Yeah, it's nice to have this conversation. I do appreciate it. I really do.
Thank you all. Really appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you.
it.
I just want to say that there are links. I just dropped links in the chat for our fundraising platform. If you want to see how we're presenting the new platform, consider investing, but really share it, right? Ask questions, put us to the task. Say, what do you mean by this? We've got two different ways of raising money. One is the equity funding, but also we're doing it on a larger scale too. So if you have questions about that, or you want to kind of get an overview, you can check there. And also we're doing another webinar that's investor focused next Thursday. So if that part intrigues you, this was not the focus here, but definitely dive in. The other ones are Instagram, which many of you know, but it's an overview. If you're just coming to see us for the first time, you can get an overview of visually of a lot of things we're doing. And then of course the website. So many of you are on our list and know about these things already, but it's good to have them handy.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye now.
Bye.
You see the list right here. That's